The Chinook can fly into snow-covered Arctic landscapes and barren deserts. It can operate from land and sea. When asked what aircraft a soldier would fly when they need one the most, the answer is simple, and it's almost always a Chinook. The Boeing CH-47 Chinook is known as the workhorse of the sky. It's the go-to transport helicopter for roughly 20 armies across the world, and it's here to stay. Unlike most helicopters, the Chinook utilizes a tandem rotor system. While this design isn't anything new, what sets it apart is what powers its tandem rotors, a pair of Lycoming T55 turboshaft engines. These compact, extremely powerful engines, combined with its tandem rotor design, allow the Chinook to soar through the skies at up to 180 miles per hour, despite it being nearly twice the size of an average helicopter. How it works. Conventional choppers have a top-mounted rotor to generate lift. A side effect of this is torque, which causes a helicopter's body to spin. To counteract it, another smaller rotor is mounted on the helicopter's tail, spinning in the opposite direction. Tandem rotor systems are different. Instead of featuring a smaller offset propeller, there are two full-sized rotors mounted atop the aircraft. Just like with traditionally designed helicopters, they spin in opposite directions, which means that they would find themselves careening towards the ground should one of its rotors fail. The main upside to fitting a helicopter with a tandem rotor system is the far greater amount of lift generated by two full-sized propellers. This additional amount of lift makes it possible to get bigger, heavier helicopters in the air, like our Chinook. But that alone isn't what made it special. Much of what makes the Chinook a popular helicopter is its incredible capability as a cargo aircraft. It can take off with 24,000 pounds of cargo in its 228 square foot hold. Thanks to its loading ramp, all manner of cargo could easily be transported using a Chinook. Palletized food, water, weapons, soldiers, and sometimes even vehicles. Humvees could drive into the Chinook's cargo hold, and it would still have room to spare. Even with so much cargo on board, the Chinook has the unique capability to zip through challenging terrain. Its pilots regularly mention how nimble and easy to handle it is, despite its huge size, which is the main reason why it's such a beloved aircraft among militaries. This maneuverability also makes it great at rescue operations. The Chinook can easily hover at the edge of a cliff, tilt upwards, unfurl its loading ramp, and extract entire platoons of soldiers to safety. It can also unload soldiers over water for covert special operations, hovering mere feet above the sea. The possibilities are nearly endless. In the hands of a skilled pilot, this special chopper can do just about anything. What's next? The Chinook is one of the longest-serving aircraft in aviation history. It has more than 60 years of service under its belt, with no signs of stopping anytime soon. Boeing has even stated a desire to see it remain in service well into the 2060s, a full century since it was introduced to the public. Thus, some future-proofing is in order. Boeing has been working with General Electric to create a new 7,500 shaft horsepower engine for the Chinook. That's a lot more powerful than the original 2,200 horsepower engines it debuted with, and almost twice as much as the 4,800 horsepower engines on the more recent models. This would, in theory, enable the Chinook to fly even faster and carry even more cargo into the future. New variants of the Chinook, like the MH-47G Block II, also feature a host of iterations to the initial design, including swept-tip rotors to increase payload capacity by 1,500 pounds. The Block II has a redesigned airframe, making the fuselage more capable of carrying the additional payload. It features increased range, with two bigger, lighter fuel tanks instead of the 6 it previously had. Last but not least, an extendable refueling probe allows the aircraft to be refueled mid-flight with the help of compatible fixed-wing tankers. Still, these changes are all iterative at most. The Chinook's overall design has remained largely unchanged for 60 years and counting. You know how the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the Chinook is far from being broke. Until this day, it remains among the best transport helicopters currently in service.